Hey everyone. I know I have not been active, at least on this channel, very active the last few months. Just have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of thoughts that I'm kind of chewing on and meditating on. And so I am looking to make some more videos here within the next few weeks or months. It just really depends on whenever I feel that that opening to actually post it, because a lot of the stuff is very deep, and I've been told and also shown that I can't just jump into it. I have to introduce the concepts and do it that way. So I'm kind of having a difficult time with that and trying to build up, lack of a better term, curriculum, even though I'm not really building a lesson type thing. So just wanted to give y'all a heads up on that. When it comes to the prophetic word that I always do for the next year, I'm doing it now because I'm going to be out of state for the rest of the year, so I'm doing it now. But 2023 basically is going to be the restoration of faith, purity, and innocence. And I also am seeing what I'm calling blueprints, but I'm going to wait until after I give the prophetic word for 2023 and before I give that, because it's still work in progress, but I'm kind of seeing how things are developing, shall I say. So for 2023, in each of our lives, we have dealt with events and circumstances that have, in quotations, stolen our faith, innocence, and purity. I believe in 2023, these will be restored, or at least begin to be restored. And then more on that in just a few. Much of when we are going through healing seasons, the wounds of those seasons and circumstances must be cleaned out in order to be properly healed. In 2023, this will be the year that all that gunk that basically caused those events and circumstances will be purged from us. And for those who have been following me for a good few years, many of y'all may remember actually I never posted on this channel, my bad. But I posted a video several years ago before I even thought about putting on this one, for 2019, and 2019 was the year of the Phoenix. And many people know what a Phoenix is, but 2019 was the year of the Phoenix. 2019 was the year of the first Phoenix. 2023 will be the second Phoenix year. Because of this purging, the result will be being highly favored of God, because you have been willing to go through the difficulties that are needed to continue your walk, your testing, and go through your trials that need to be basically being highly favored, but also trusted by Him. There we go. Alright. And now this is what I believe that God is saying for 2023. Those that go through this year will go through a season where their innocence and purity will be either fully restored or will begin to be restored this year, as healing for some takes longer than others, and we all know that. This year, or this will require more breaking, though, and I know that's not going to make some people happy, but this year will require more healing, though. But the result will be worth it, as my bride will come out shining, and will be as obvious as when the wheat and tares are separated. When this healing and breaking is done, the healing and change will be very obvious. to the point that people will vocalize the obvious change to them. Keep in mind, breaking also includes the cleaning of wounds. And when a wound is being deep cleaned, it hurts. But this must be done for a restoration to occur and a healthy scar to appear. Some scars are more obvious than others. In order for innocence and purity to be restored, sin and cycles must be broken, which was in 2020, or 2022, which was this year. 2023 is the year of restoration of innocence and purity. So we know that healing in general, like in our physical sense, the wound has to be cleaned. If anyone who's had like a major wound, some kind of like a major cut, a gash, anything that required staples or stitches, that kind of thing, road rash, would have known or would know that wound has to be completely cleaned out in order for it to heal good. But if it's not, if there are some things that are left in there that could result in that wound getting infected and that kind of thing. It's the same thing with spiritual stuff and everything that we've dealt with in life. If we don't go back through that stuff and clean it, go through the healing process, whatever that looks like, the forgiveness, however, again, whatever it looks like, because of all the different people in the world, all the different traumas and hurts and everything, like, it's all going to look different. But if all that stuff is not cleaned out, those who are in ministry, those wounds will come out through their ministry and through the way they act. And so, which is one of the reasons why it needs to be completely cleaned out, and so that whenever they're ministering, whenever they're functioning, like the Lord said in this thing, the change is obvious in our mannerisms, how we act. So that's one of the reasons. And many times, whenever these issues are there, we cannot fully discern what is actually there and get to the root of certain things whenever we're already hurt, and we only see through that filter, of the pain. So, but now for what I've called the blueprints. Now to reveal what I believe God is building for us. I've called them blueprints. These blueprints are what I believe God is revealing to us. These blueprints are the steps that each of us go through in the process of leaving Egypt, which is the allegory for any form of slavery, to walking in God's power and promises, which is the promised land. And again, slavery could be sin, could be wounds, anything and everything, being like that's our Egypt. And so these are the building blueprints of getting out of that stuff and into the promised land, which is His power and promises and just that complete freedom. Alright, so obviously, like these different stages, the different levels, steps, whatever you want to call them, I do expect them to change slightly. I'm still kind of building on trying to figure out how they're organized, whether there's different steps and different phases or whatever, but this is what I got so far, and I know that as things continue, then I'll be able to see how they're broken up into. And I also don't see this as like a 1, 2, 3 step thing. These are things that we have no control over. It's what the Lord uses in order to help guide us in our life and show us certain things and how major events cause certain things, and then kind of guide us along those lines in order to kind of help people out along the way. So again, this is not a 1, 2, 3 type thing where we have full control over how we're doing stuff, like almost like an AA thing. It's nothing like that. Nothing like that at all. I have heard and seen other like spiritual steps or whatever of knowing, like coming across like, oh yeah, I'm on step 4. I've never heard of this thing before. It's kind of like one of those, but nothing that we have control over. It's something that we just go through, and we allow the Lord to guide us on as we go through that. And like we can say, okay, I'm on step 3 here. Now this, whenever this next step starts, this is along the lines of what I'm going to be going through. That's kind of what I'm looking for when it comes to these blueprints. And I could be completely off, but this is what I'm kind of seeing right now, and how I perceive it. So, all right. So the first step / stage, whatever you want to call it, basically starts off. This entire thing starts off with the event that causes everything. This can be viewed as both a blessing and a curse, since it's something that leaves a strong impact on your life, or our life. You'll eventually see it as a blessing that it actually happened, but also can serve as a curse in quotations, because you also look back at it, and it will serve as a reminder of something that you'll never return to or repeat. So it's not a literal curse. It's something that we look back on, and it's like, yeah, that time period sucks. Because of that time period, I'm where I'm at right now, because I didn't want to repeat that. But I see it now as like, don't return type thing. That's kind of what I'm getting at. On the second stage / step, whatever, this is the first Phoenix season. I mentioned Phoenix just a minute ago here. You've overcome the personal issues that caused this entire road for you. So you overcome the things that started everything, the step 1. When you've overcome the stronghold / issue, and you've come out anew, you are the Phoenix, basically. You're rising from your ashes. In a way, you've died from the events resulting in the first step, and now you've risen from your ashes and become the Phoenix. So that's the second thing, where you come to the realization, like, even without you even knowing what it is, like, first stage happened, second stage, you've now risen from your ashes, and it's like, oh, okay, I overcame that. It's like the resting of the first step. Third step. This step is the first step to begin anew. You've begun to rise. It is your day. During this period, it's like a calm before the storm. People notice that there is a change with you. Your life has begun. So long, obviously, I can see where steps 2 and 3 are the same, and then after that kind of starts a new phase. Again, I'm still trying to figure this thing out, and some of the stuff might change. So just keep that in mind. Number 4. Now the challenge begins. Things start getting real. You begin to rebuild your foundation. Balance is needed here, or else you'll go to the extreme. Because of the first 2 steps, possibly 3, you notice things are not right in your life. The foundations of your life is not stable, and you begin to break down everything. This could be considered or called a deconstruction, which is fine. But again, balance and guidance is needed, or else you'll go too far. So that was the original, the whole rebuilding your foundation was a prophetic word for 2021. And I had no clue what the world would call it. I'll put the link to every prophetic word over the last few years, so you can kind of see how things have been building up. But for 2021, I basically called it rebuilding the foundation, because in the dream I had, one aspect of that dream was showing where it was revealed that the foundation, what was underneath the ground, was just nothing there. So that foundation was, it wasn't to be trusted. You needed to rebuild. So basically, for those, I am totally for deconstruction. I believe deconstruction can be a good thing, but there is always going to be the people out there who take it too far and have no balance in life. So, how I see deconstruction or rebuilding is you're basically taking apart all your different beliefs, looking at them, period. And this could be looked at in any form of life, any form, not just your spiritual / religious, even though I don't see them that way. It could be the Christendom, or in whatever aspect of your life. This deconstruction, this rebuilding can take place in anything and everything. But for instance, let's say that you are deconstructing, like I've been doing the last few years, and you're taking apart your house. Your house is the allegory for your faith, everything that you believe in. You're taking everything apart. You're deconstructing it. And what you're supposed to do is, once you get down to the very basics, the foundation, then you start building it up. You start rebuilding your house, your faith. What happens is that because they have no balance, they completely deconstruct even to the point of the foundation, and then they just leave. Period. They just leave everything and they go about their way. And that's, obviously it's not supposed to happen. That's not the way it's supposed to occur. And so with those who have deconstructed or gone to the extreme, deconstructed to the extreme, we see a lot of those out there, and they no longer consider themselves Christian, etc. And a lot of that could also be because of hurts, which is like part of the next step, basically. But let's continue on. So with the deconstruction, and that's not something that happens just overnight, 1 year, bam, you're done. No, it's a consistent thing, and that's why a lot of this stuff, at least for from this step onwards, it's a consistent thing. Yeah, it starts, but it's a consistent thing. Even as we continue on, and from years down the line, there are things that's going to happen to us, and we have to repeat those good things that's in this blueprint, because of, if we want to make sure we heal fully and not just dwell on it and not just allow that thing to fester, that infection to occur. So again, some of these things are just a consistent thing. But yeah, deconstruction, build the faith back up. That's a consistent thing. That it's basically being Bereans. We're constantly going over their stuff, constantly chewing, meditating on this stuff. All right, but again, we got to make sure we don't take it to the extreme. Next step, phase or phase, however you want to see it. 5. During this rebuilding, you catch on to or are shown cycles that no longer serve you. Due to this, you begin breaking those cycles. Some are difficult than others. Some are more difficult than others. Exactly like step 4. Fourth step, but it's a continuing thing, just like I mentioned. Since some of these cycles are much more difficult to break and stay broken, even after you have begun more positive cycles, keeping those habits can serve difficult. So some of these things can be very difficult to break, and you'll want to go back into those previous unhealthy cycles. But we must resist. You must resist. And remember how far you've come, and that you don't want to repeat them again. Alright, so, like I said, for step 4, some of these things, it's just the beginning. So with this 5, you're fighting these cycles, and you're like, no, this is no longer serving me right. I'm going to break this thing. And again, these things can it's not just spiritually, but in every aspect of life. You use drugs, you overuse alcohol, you smoke, you have bad financial decisions, that kind of thing. Anything and everything can be used like that. And just like, going from Egypt to the Promised Land, this could serve like you're leaving Egypt in all the forms of slavery that is there, and moving into the Promised Land of your life, like every single function of your life. That's what I'm getting at too, is that the Lord wants you to prosper in every single area of your life. And I'm not talking about prosperity gospel. I'm talking about like every single area. He wants you to live fulfilled, and be prospering, to continuously be improving yourself. And that's what this whole thing is about. But again, some of these cycles are very difficult to break, and doing it in 1 year sometimes not going to happen. And so even if you've gone after some of the easier ones, you've broken those, some of the ones that are much more hidden from you, that you've functioned in for decades, and the Lord has finally shown, hey, this is what's going on here. Some of those are going to be more difficult to break. Some of those could take years or decades. But the fact that you're breaking these things down, one thing after another, and breaking the habits, breaking this thing, and actively working towards doing it, that's what counts. And we got to make sure we don't go back to it. Especially whenever we're stressed, we want to go back to these unhealthy habits, but we got to remember that we can see, like, look how far I've come. I don't want to return to this over here. And all that crap that I dealt with, I don't want to return to that cycle, but I want to come over here and keep building myself, keep improving myself. Again, we got to resist returning to the bad. All right, so step 6, stage 6, whatever you want to call it, which is the prophetic word for 2023. Because you broke those cycles and continue to pursue breaking them, you go through now a season of restoration, of purity and innocence. You see everything that has corrupted you in the past. And this can be overwhelming too. And others see you as you go through this and will be curious. This is and can be a extremely personal time for you as you start seeing everything in a new but a pure and innocent view. So as you're going through this, you will have the choice of opening up to others who see this change that's going through you, that you're going through. Obviously, God is with us, period. But as you're going through this purification, people are going to see. People are going to see, and they may vocalize that they see this complete change in you. And again, this is the second Phoenix thing. The first one is after everything, the event that began everything that took place, and you had some people that say, hey, there's something different about you. Now it's going to be even stronger. Now that you've gone through this thing and you're getting rid of, or healing through those wounds, getting rid of the infections that are in us, getting rid of all the infections that are in us from the past wounds. This is going to also, because of these purification, the removing of them, is going to cause us to see things differently, see things from a pure and innocent view, which also goes along with the scripture, to the pure, all things are pure, but to the corrupt, all things are evil. So because of this stage, it's going to cause us to get to see a more pure form, a more pure view, rather than look through the filter of our infection, of our hurts, and all that stuff. So as you go through this, and I know that this is going to be for a select few people, even though over the years since I've been given these, I've seen people online, on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, whatever you want to say it, I've seen people go through these things, and I have no idea where their spiritual life is. I have no idea if they're Christians, if they're atheists. I have no idea. But I saw, like, for the whole thing with the deconstruction, obviously we had that thing start up, and obviously for like the breaking cycles, I saw that everywhere. Everyone is breaking these cycles. So whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever aspect, whatever stage that you're going through, these are the blueprints that I see the Lord building up, so that we are coming from Egypt and into the promised land, whatever that looks like. I'll continue kind of modifying this as the years go by, because obviously I see this thing that the Lord is working to build, this blueprint of sorts. No clue how it's going to end. Obviously, it's going to end as, with us living in the promised land. But yeah, I hope this brought some clarity, and I hope this encouraged y'all, even though I know some of this is going to suck. But I know this is going to be a good thing. And let me know what you think. Comments, concerns, email me. Doesn't really matter. But I do look forward to posting more things. I am still studying the next parable. And as I continue, I'm continuing to be mind blown of what the Lord has given us in those parables for the kingdom. But I hope everyone has a good one, and everyone take care of yourselves.